Hello and welcome back to Alyena's Kitchen, where today we're going to be making the most delicious apple pie. This pie is so good and it's pretty simple to make too. So let's get started. To start with, we're going to make our crust. You can either get a store-bought crust, and that will save you a lot of time, I will say, but today we are going to be making one that's homemade. So I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm just gonna cut in my butter. So I have a 2/3 cup of butter right now, and I'm gonna chop it up into little cubes. And if you have a pastry cutter, this is the perfect time to use it, but I do not. So I'm just going to be using a fork today. So now let's chop up our butter. Now that you've cut your butter in and it's a nice crumbly texture, we're going to be adding in our salt. So I have 1 teaspoon of salt, and I'm just gonna stir this in. And the nice thing about making pie crust or just this type of pastry is it's so easy to make. It's only 4 ingredients, and we're already on the last one. Now the last step is adding in our water. So right now I have some nice cold water, and I'm going to be adding in anywhere from 5 to 7 tablespoons. You really just want this dough to come together, but you don't want it to be sticky at all. So I'm gonna add in 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time and then give it a good mix. So my dough has now come together beautifully, and this took me 7 tablespoons of water, and it's nice and it's not sticky at all. So I'm now gonna just place this in my fridge for 30 minutes and start preparing my apples. Now that my pie crust is chilling in the fridge, I can start working with my apples. So today we have a lot of apples. I'm using 8 apples, but you can use anywhere from 6 to 8 depending on how much you want in your pie. And you can either hand slice these. If you do that, you're a brave soul. Or you can use a food processor, which will definitely hasten things up. So that's what I'm doing today. Now that I have all of my apples in my bowl, I'm gonna take half a lemon and just squeeze it over them. It's always a test of strength, and I feel like I never win it. Right, there we go. So now I'm just gonna mix my apples up with the lemon juice, just so that it's spread all over. Now we're gonna start adding in our sugar. So I just have half a cup of granulated sugar, as well as half a cup of packed brown sugar. I'm gonna try to get it a little bit less packed in my bowl. And at this point, I'm just gonna be adding in all of my spices and dry ingredients to my apples. Now I'm going to be adding in my flour. So today I have 3 tablespoons of just all-purpose flour. I have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I always like, after I mix it all together, to taste my apples and see if I want to add any more cinnamon or ginger, and make my decisions then. So this is just, for spices, a rough guideline. And I also have a 4th teaspoon of nutmeg, as well as a 4th teaspoon of ginger. Okay, so now it's easy. You just have to mix it all together. So now that I'm finished with my apples, I am back to my pie crust. So now that it's been chilled, I'm going to roll it out with some flour. Also, at the same time, I'm preheating my oven to 375 degrees. So right now I'm just cutting my pie crust in half because I'm making a bottom as well as a top. So we're gonna need 2. All right, and I'm gonna reshape this back into a ball and start rolling it out. I accidentally created a heart today. I'm gonna use this as my top layer, and now I'm gonna use this as my bottom because, as pretty as this is, I don't think it'll work for my crust bottom. So now I'm just gonna fit my crust to my pie plate, and I have more overlapping on the edge, so we're just gonna cut this off before we bake it. Now that I've finished my pie crust, I'm going to add in my apples, and I'm planning on this being a very heaping apple pie. These apples are so good, and our pie is nice and large, which is exactly what I was looking for. And now in my bowl I actually have some of that leftover juice from the apples and the lemon, and I'm going to just take a few tablespoons and drizzle it over my apples. I don't want to do all of it because I don't want my crust to turn soggy, but just a few tablespoons. Now I have 1 tablespoon of butter, which I've just chopped up into little cubes, and I'm gonna place it along my apple pie. Now for our top crust, you can make it however you'd like, but today I'm going to get a little decorative with it, and I have this little snowflake, and I'm going to cut out a bunch of them and place them over my apple pie so it bakes in this pretty effect. So let's get cutting. Now I'm just re-rolling out my dough because I do want a few more stars on top of my pie. And this dough is really nice because it's really easy to re-roll and it doesn't really affect the dough that much. It is a nice workout though for your arms. Okay, where's my star? There it is. Okay, and here we have our beautiful finished apple pie, and this took about an hour to bake at 375, and it smells amazing, and I'm so excited to try it. And please let me know if you try it and what you think in the comments down below. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.